Night live from the Cloudy Sky Fantasy Football Show as we look ahead to game week 2 of Cloud Fantasy Football. And on the thumbnail today we have a load of Ballards, because Daniel Ballard was the highest scoring player, Sunderland defender who scored a goal. Very lowly owned, no surprise. And also sharing with him is week 2 of Cloud Fantasy Football. And on the thumbnail today, we have a load of Ballards, because Daniel Ballard was the highest scoring player, Sunderland defender who scored a goal. Very lowly owned, no surprise. And also sharing with him is Rangers week 2 of Cloud Fantasy Football. And on the thumbnail today we have a load of Ballards, because Daniel Ballard was the highest scoring player, Sunderland defender who scored a goal. Very lowly owned, no surprise. And also sharing with him is Rangers week 2 of Cloud Fantasy Football. And on the thumbnail today we have a load of Ballards, because Daniel Ballard was the highest scoring player, Sunderland defender who scored a goal. Very lowly owned, no surprise. And also sharing with him is Rangers week 2 of Cloud Fantasy Football. And on the thumbnail today we have a load of Ballards, because Daniel Ballard was the highest scoring player, Sunderland defender who scored a goal. 61st overall, very lowly owned, no surprise. And also sharing with him is Rangers
only 3 out of 4 players played. We were sort of done a bit by Maresca. He was picking up Tosin. Hopefully he's back in the side today. We'll see shortly. And then we found out that he was injured for the week, so he didn't play at all. I used transfer on him, sort of keep him in. Chelsea are playing in the Friday night game this week, and we'll see if he's playing or not. Then had Aït-Nouri, Cucurella, also Chelsea, and Romero. They scored 28 between them. 3 clean sheets and 10 points. In midfield, good day on Friday with Semenyo, 2 goals. The rest were a little bit disappointing. Saka on Sunday, just 3 points. Palmer, captain on Sunday with, again, 2 points doubled. And Arias, Wolves didn't even start, he only came on Saturday against Manchester City. And then the heavy hits was up front. Mo Salah was captain on Friday, he got 9 points, doubled up to 18. And then Erling Haaland on Saturday scored twice, 14 points, doubled up to 28. Manchester City. It says the sound's not working. Friday he got 9 points, doubled up to 18. See if I've got an issue with Saturday. Scored twice. Hold on guys, let's have a look. Doubled up to 28. Manchester City. Is that better? It looks like it should be okay now. I think I clicked it all on desktop rather than audio. So if somebody just let me in the chat, see John's in, Dave's in, Adam's in, Kieran's in, Jim's in. Somebody just let me know whether that's okay now. It looks on my screen as if it is. So Dave said he was a psychiatric nurse for 40 years. And Get Carter says, I can hear Palmer's scattered thoughts. So, thanks. It's like the white noise from the Video So Radiophonic Workshop. Well, thanks, John. I'll try my best. No, I think we're good now. It was an operator error on my part. I think I'd clicked desktop far too high. So, I'll go back through where we were with the team. So, Pickford, just the 2 points. Tosin and no-show, 28 points from clean sheets and the odd tier from the defenders. Midfield,
Just Semenyo did well. Captain Palmer, next to nothing. Arias didn't even start. And Saka, who was brought in for these 2 games. So, I mean, they do play Leeds tomorrow, so hopefully a bit better. And then the 2 attackers up front. So let's have a look and see where we were in the leaderboard. This is something that we've added on now. You can see where you are positioned. So I'm there 61st, and I'm just going to have a look at the highest open ranked team, which is Adam, and see who he had in his side to get his 120 points. So no transfers that he made last week. So he had Raya in goal, who scored 11. I think it was the highest scoring keeper. He had Aït-Nouri, Virgil, Romero, and Cucurella was his captain. That was to him for Sunday. He had Nonto as captain on Monday, who had 4 points doubled up. He had Rangers and Undai in midfield. Then up front, Salah, Haaland, both captains Friday and Saturday, and then Bowen. So, yeah, reasonable team. I think a better captain on Sunday and Monday is probably what scored him the points there. So, thanks, Dave and Tim. Say sounds better now. Something for me to look at next time. Thank you very much, gents. So, we will have a look at the match centres to see who scored points. Click this back onto game week 1. And I think we need to move down to the bottom for the first game. Yeah. So, first game was Liverpool 4, Bournemouth 2. Goal scorers were Ekitike, Gakpo, Chiesa and Salah, and a brace for Semenyo. And those that scored tier 3 points were Petrovic in goal for Bournemouth and Adams with tackles. They were the tier 3 point scorers there. Plenty of tier 2s and 1s about. Then the Saturday lunchtime game was Aston Villa 0, Newcastle 0. I saw a fair bit of this, and it wasn't the best, was it? Let's be honest. And you can see on the screen there, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiers altogether. 6 of which are tier 1 and 1 tier 2, which was Gordon for his shots. So much ado about nothing, really. And then we move to the 3 o'clocks. So Brighton 1, Fulham 1. Goal scorers were O'Reilly, who was on penalties for Brighton. I saw a few people in the chats over the weekend with De Kuyper thinking he was going to step up on penalties with no Welbeck in the side. But no, it was O'Reilly, who ended up with a 10-pointer himself. Fulham's goal was Rodrigo Muniz, who looks like he's staying at Fulham now. So there's going to be competition in that slot between Jimenez and Muniz moving forward. Don't think much to worry about for Cloud at the minute with that striker position. And then the tier 3s were, well, Duncan Van Heck back in tandem with the passes. That's 86 and 77. Weaver with the tackles. 5 tackles for tier 3. Sunderland 3, West Ham 0. So Sunderland back with a bang. West Ham back down to earth with a bang. Goal scorers for Sunderland were Maenda, Ballard and Isidore. No tier 3s there, but Ballard had 2 shots on target, so 16 points altogether, and he was the top scorer of the game week. Tottenham 3, Burnley 0. Saw extended highlights of this. Tottenham looked pretty good, but they were only playing Burnley. Goal scorers were Richarlison, the lesser spotted in many teams. Although I did see one player who's playing Cloud, Adam Byram, he'd put him in his Sun Dream team because he was a cheap player at 3 million. So well done there, Adam. So goal scorers here, Richarlison with a brace and Brennan Johnson. Tier 3s for Romero with a pass in and Richarlison with the shots. Wolves 0, Manchester City 4. This was the tea time game on Saturday. Goal scorers, Haaland with a brace, Reinders and Cherky. Tier 3s are only 1 was Ait-Nouri with the tackles. He got close to passes as well. We've got some updated stats on passes later on in the show. Sunday games, Nottingham Forest 3, Brentford 1. Didn't see any of this. Very one-sided from what I can gather. Brentford were abysmal. So goal scorers for Forest, another brace, this time for Chris Wood and Ndoye. And Thiago scored a penalty consolation goal for Brentford. No tier 3s there at all, but Chris Wood did get 14 points. Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. Chelsea were a little bit lacklustre by all accounts. Palace are a good side, although they've lost Eze now. He's on his way to Arsenal. Just a word on that. Daniel Levy, I don't know what he's doing there with that kind of transfer. If he thinks he's going to get that man, get in, get done, get it, even pay a little bit more. I think Eze is probably the best pound-for-pound transfer done in a while. He's English, he's league proven, he's plays in 3 or 4 positions, he's coming into his prime, he's 27 now. I think he's going to be a good player for Arsenal. He would have been an excellent player for Tottenham. So, as for Palace, they still look good, but if Guehi goes as well, which is still on the cards by all accounts, he's only got a year on his contract, and Parish wants to make sure he gets money for him rather than leaving on a free next summer. It'd be interesting to see how they go, but they are a decent side. Tier 3s for Chalobah and Acheampong, who started in place of Tosin, but I've just seen in the chat that Dave's put in that Tosin starts today. I assume that means that Acheampong is not playing, and Chalobah will be. They were 92 and 87 passes. I imagine Tosin will be similar. And then Caicedo with the tackles. He had a tier 2 pattern as well for 6-pointer. And then Mitchell, he was with the tackles for Palace. And then the later game, Manchester United 0, Arsenal 1. United were pretty good by all accounts. I didn't see a lot of this. Took the grandkids to Warwick Castle Sunday. We had a great day. I saw a bit of the highlights later on when we got back. United looked half decent, but Arsenal found a way to win, which is what good sides do. Tier 3s for David Raya, 7 saves, and Matheus Cunha, 3 shots on target. Goal scorers, Caliafori. I think the keeper needed to do better there. Bit of hoo-ha about whether he was, should have been a foul, but no, not for me. Good goal. And the penalty, I think Mbeumo can count himself on. No, it wasn't Mbeumo, it was Cunha. Count himself unlucky that wasn't given a foul by Saliba. I think anywhere else on the pitch that's given us a foul. Then the Monday night game, Leeds were all over Everton. Took a penalty late on to win the game. No tier 3s, just 2 tier 2s, so yeah, pretty much ado about nothing there, to be honest. So let's have a look at some fixtures, because we have had October's TV fixtures out now. And the big news was the Friday game, which turned out to be Bournemouth against Fulham. The other 2 that were in contention that we discussed were Manchester United against Sunderland and Wolves against Brighton. The Wolves against Brighton game has actually been moved to the Sunday, and that'll be quite interesting to see how Sky do that game, because I think that's been the game that's been picked as their TV game. But is it that week? It's one of the weeks anyway. It's later on. It's at the end of October. We'll go through those in a minute. Aston Villa against Manchester City was a bonus pick due to Villa playing on the Thursday, and it's Wolves v Burnley, was picked as the TV game, but I very much expect that most people on the 2 o'clock that Sunday will be watching Villa v Manchester City, which is going to be live on Sky. Don't know how they're going to do it on their Sky Plus or whatever, but it's one of those games. So the weekend before the overhaul, 3rd of October on a Friday, is Bournemouth v Fulham. And then the games that are moved to the Sunday, Aston Villa v Burnley, Wolves v Brighton, Brentford v Man City, and Nottingham Forest visit Newcastle. They are the Sunday games. So I think, as we discussed last time round, Aston Villa v Burnley is likely to be a key captaincy. So, and then post-overhaul, we have games moved to the Sunday in the first week after is Aston Villa visiting Tottenham and Liverpool hosting Manchester United. Then there's back-to-back single game days on the Monday and the Friday, both of which West Ham are going to be taking part in. Got the team news in for Chelsea. Thanks, Dave. So Sanchez, Cucurella, Tosin, Chalobah, Gusto, Reece James not playing, Caicedo, Enzo, Neto, João Pedro, Palmer and Delap. Okay, so change of formation. So if João Pedro's going to be number 10, is he? So Palmer, where's he then? Off the right and Neto off the left. Enzo and Caicedo holding it together. It looks fairly attacking. Interesting. I wonder who everybody's going to captain today. I've got a choice of 3. So I've got Cucurella, I've got Tosin, and I've got Palmer. If he's playing on the right-hand side and cutting in, then I might revert back. I was going to go for Cucurella, but I might revert back to Palmer. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. So, yeah, back to where we were with the fixtures. So we've got back-to-back single game days on a Monday and the Friday with West Ham. They host Brentford on the Monday and then visit Leeds on the Friday. So I imagine, for better or worse, most of us will have a West Ham player in our sides. Now, who that will be, we have plenty of time to make our mind up. They still got 6 games before the overhaul, and we'll be bringing one in. The added advantage is, with them being a Friday game, if they're not doing very well, you can have your 5 captaincy points. So away to Arsenal, home to Brentford as captain, away to Leeds as captain, then you can bin them for anybody you like. Unless they've improved, of course. So let's have a look at... okay, we'll get rid of that. Why is that doing that? Unread. That's not very useful. Okay, let's take that back. I'm going to put up my transfer plan. Okay, let's do this up here. So this look, we'll find the stats further along. Sorry, peeps. I thought I got this on the Excel. I don't know why it's not there. So I'm going to move this along. And we'll find some stats, hopefully. Yeah, here we go. Yep. Yeah, so these are the highest point scoring players that we had. That's just loading in, of course. Right, while that's loading up, let's go back to the plan that I had. Okay, so the plan for this weekend, which it depends on how Saka does against Arsenal, really. for Arsenal against Leeds. The plan was to bring in Bruno Fernandes on Sunday as a captain against Fulham, because otherwise I'd only have Pickford at home to Brighton, which is okay in as much as it goes, but I don't think he's going to be scoring that highly. So the idea is to bring in Bruno Fernandes, captain on Sunday against Fulham, and then captain again possibly next Saturday when Manchester United host Burnley. Again, depends on how Chelsea go, how Tottenham look, Bournemouth even maybe. And then the Sunday, the original plan is to bring Watkins in for Fernandes, and as we spoke about last week, with fixtures for Aston Villa being very good towards the back end before we get to Overhaul, he'll be captain a couple of times at least. But I did note that if Arias is still not starting, then there might be room to do something else. And I could play Morgan Rogers, bring him in for my Villa coverage, if he's doing okay, and that would leave enough money to move Munoz in for Arias. And we play in a 5-3-2 with still 0.4 left in the budget. So that's my alternate plan, depending on how Arias is doing, and I guess to a certain extent how Watkins is doing. So let's see if this is loaded in now. I just want to show what the stats were for player performance. And for whatever reason, this is not doing it correctly. So it should be there on here. Yeah, so here we go. So these are all of the points for all of the players. So Ballard at the top with 16, and then quite a few people on 10. We had Achipong, Shalabar, Lewis and Romero. It's not helping me here at all. Live systems and all that. So, hopefully while that's loading in, we'll go through a couple of questions that we had. These came in from Kieran and Ammon. So, with Bournemouth v Fulham now being a single game day, which is the ideal hop on and hop off place, I think the question really is, who are you moving on for them? With that being a Friday game at the end of the week, at the start of a game week, you don't really want to be bringing people in without gaining a fixture. So if you're letting a Chelsea player go, you can bring anybody in tomorrow from Bournemouth. If you're bringing a Fulham player in, anybody that's played on today or tomorrow, you can bring in on Sunday. But other than that, there aren't any other hop-on points for Bournemouth or for Fulham. But with the fixture being right at the end of before the overhaul, you could wait and see and just bring somebody in on the day for a captain if you've got somebody injured nearer the time. Or it could be that the flames have sort of died down a bit from Bournemouth. They're not playing as well, and it could be a skip. I don't think I'd be, if I didn't have a Bournemouth player and I didn't have an injured player, then I don't think I'd be looking to bring one in now, unless I had somebody that was performing badly. However, if I had an injured player, then it's more likely that I would bring in a Bournemouth one now. Certainly someone like Evan Nielsen or Semenyo. They're kindly priced, got decent fixtures, and you would gain an advantage if they were playing well in that single game day. Which brings me to Phil's question. what we would do for a Frimpong replacement. He's not going to play before the September international break, so he's going to miss the next 2 games at least. And we know what hamstrings are like. He could miss even more than that. So if you're in a 4-4-2, I would be inclined to move Frimpong on to Semenyo tomorrow. And then you've got him in place for captaincy. If you need to have a defender, then I wouldn't be adverse to bringing in one of these Chelsea guys that you know are playing today. They've still got good fixtures. I don't really think that any of the single game day fixtures left are going to be decent for defenders. I imagine both teams score on Monday, which is Newcastle v Liverpool. And then we've got Everton v West Ham, which, I mean, even if they don't score, are you going to want an Everton or a West Ham player between now and the end of the overhaul? Probably not. And I would say the same for Bournemouth v Fulham. The chances are both teams score in that game. So if you definitely need a defender, I'd be inclined to go for one of these Chelsea defenders. Looks like they're going to get pass in, so either Chalobah or Tosin. Cucurella, if you fancy something a bit more creative. But yeah, that would be the way that I would go with that, Phil. So it looks like my charts have finally tipped into gear. So let's see if I can find one that's going to help. Just bring this back a bit. So yeah, if we go back to the first chart, these are the top scoring players. And you can, I mean, obviously, if you had these guys, you know whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. And we'll just move this on to, this is the filtered players by combined points and ownership chart. And as you can see here, there's not too many that are highly owned. So Romero was at the top. He's 20%, 30% owned. Van der Ven, another one, was 15% owned. This is actually set on defenders. Hold on. It must be set on defenders. Yeah. It is. That's by position. Yeah, so if I put this back, we get all of the players in. Defenders, midfielders, and strikers. And we'll have a look. Yeah, we'll just wait for a bit for this to filter in. Yeah, it's coming in now. So these are all of your tier points, and these were the defenders that did best. So Weaver, Achimpong, Chalobah, Romero, Adams, Dunk, etc. And then we should it's just catching up. I think when I'm going to use this live screen in future, I need to make sure that it's all set correctly before we kick off. So yeah, games for this week. If I can, obviously we've got West Ham v Chelsea today. Just going to move this back and see if I can put it back to the team. I'll move that back and go back to the team. Yeah, clear this back a bit. So yeah, fixtures today is West Ham v Chelsea. Then tomorrow we have early doors Manchester City against Tottenham. So captaincy, I think, for tomorrow is, yeah, Haaland is probably, if you've got him, is going to be a heavy favourite. Bournemouth against Wolves, so Semenyo, again, another maybe an outside chance. Wolves didn't look great, but it's a different story playing Bournemouth than it is playing Manchester City. Brentford v Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa will probably get the better of Brentford, but they're going to be at home, first game of the season. Burnley v Sunderland. I doubt that this lad Ballard's going to do as well as he did on Saturday tomorrow. And then Arsenal v Leeds is the late game, so it could be a tempter for Saka. Leeds looked half decent on Monday, so I think my captaincy will probably be on Haaland, and I think he'll be quite heavily captained. Then Sunday we have Crystal Palace against Nottingham Forest, Everton against Brighton, and Fulham against Manchester United. Now, if the Manchester United players aren't all that highly owned, then I think this could be a bit open, which is why I want to bring Fernandes in. He was looking deep against Arsenal last week, but it might be a different story against Fulham. He's always on penalties, set pieces. If he's playing deeper, he could get passes, tackles. So I think that'll be the move. If you've got an Everton player from last Monday, you might be considering them against Brighton. First game at the new stadium, so you'd think they'd be up for a win. Palace against Forest. Difficult to know. Palace played in the conference playoff yesterday on Thursday, so Forest, bit of uproar in the press conference today with Nuno saying he's fallen out with Marinakis. Might not even be manager there on Sunday. It could be wide open, which is why I'm thinking of bringing in a player. Then I think Newcastle v Liverpool. Most people would have a Liverpool player from last week on Friday for the captaincy, and almost certainly going to be using the same one again this week. So I think that could be quite feisty. If you're into your bet builders, I think lots of goals, lots of cards could be the way in that game. Right, well, sorry about the bits and pieces with the stats. I did say I've got some stuff there on passes. We've got some stuff to put forward. It'll go into the shows. Oh, it's going to be a sort of per 90 stats now. So we've got passes, tackles, shots, and saves. So we'll be looking and see if we can highlight those that are on for tier points over a certain period of time that we'll be looking to bring in later in the season. So, yeah, again, apologies, folks, but we'll leave it there. Good luck with your captains this week. I think I'm going to switch mine back to Palmer, and hopefully we'll enjoy some good football, and we'll see you again next week. All right, cheers, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.